Hey guys, I thought that I would do one of those YouTube tag things since you guys don't really know too much about me yet. I don't have that many videos up. Trying to find new ideas for more videos. The ones that I posted recently, I think are kind of boring. um, so yeah, I found one on the internet. It's called the Throwback Tag, and I thought that one was kind of cool. So yeah, I'm gonna do that one. And as you can see, I don't look horrible as I usually do. Okay, let's get started. Okay, first question is, what year were you born in? I was born in 1992. And question two is, do you have any pictures of yourself from when you were younger? And yes, I do. Let me just find it. Wrong album. Okay. This is one picture of myself that I like. And I like this one because my daughter makes the exact same face. And it kind of scares me how much that she has gotten from me. And I'm starting to realize it more and more every day, and it's kind of scary. And, okay. So, question number 3. What TV shows did you grow up watching? I grew up watching Arthur. I remember coming home from school when I was like in kindergarten and first grade, and it would always come on at 5 o'clock, or like 4 or 5 o'clock, something like that. But I just remember always coming home and laying on the floor and watching that. And also Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo was my favorite. I was always watching Cartoon Network. I was always at my grandma's house, in her room on her bed watching Cartoon Network all the time. So like all those old Cartoon Network cartoons, I love them. And question number 4 is, what did you want to be when you grow up, and do you still want to be that? When I was little, I always wanted to be a vet, and to this day, it is something, probably not a full-blown vet, but like a vet tech, veterinary assistant, something like that. I love animals, so definitely something that I would still want to be today. Question number 5. It says to show a video of you when you were younger, but I don't have one. And number 6, what were your favorite toys to play with? Definitely Barbies and Bratz. I loved playing with that. I had this big, tall, like Barbie house that opened up and everything. I could sit there for hours and just play with my Barbies. And number 7, what's the most embarrassing thing that you can remember doing? I remember this one time I was like in 3rd grade. I had this really big crush on this boy named Seth, and like the boys would always play football on the grass and stuff. And I just remember me and my friends were messing around, and I went to go run, and I tripped and I biffed it so hard across the field, and he was there and he saw the whole thing, and I was so embarrassed. And this other time involved him also. We were walking to class after the morning recess, and there was this like big patch of ice that you had to walk across because it was like during the winter, but there like wasn't any way to go around it. So everyone was like trying to be careful to walk across it, and he was behind me, and I went to go carefully walk across it, and I biffed it again in front of him. I'm a very clumsy person even to this day. But like me and him ended up growing up together. Like we went to school together all throughout elementary, middle school, and high school, and we're still really good friends today. So that's kind of cool. And it says, question number 8 says to read something you wrote when you were in kindergarten. I do have stuff. Like my mom saved a bunch of my stuff, like all my stuff, like the pictures that I drew and letters that I would write to my grandma once in a while and stuff like that. But everything's in storage. But I do have stuff. I just like don't have anything to show. And question number 9 says 3 songs you loved to listen to as a child. I can't really think of 3 specific songs, but when I was little, I loved the Spice Girls and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Was my favorite, and Britney Spears. When Britney Spears like first came out, I loved her. Me and my cousin both loved her. Not so much anymore, but. And question number 10 is, what was one funny thing you dressed up as for Halloween when you were younger? I remember in 5th grade I dressed up as a brat. It's not really something funny, but I just remember that was one of my favorite costumes because I loved brats. Question 11 says, tell a funny story of something you remember happening when you were young. I remember one time I spent the night at my cousin's house and we stayed up all night. We pulled an all-nighter because we wanted to see the sunrise. And so after the sunrise, we snuck out her window, which I guess we thought we'd be in trouble for being up that early and going out the front door or something. I don't know. But we went out her window to play baseball, like to play catch. And my uncle was in the middle of building this greenhouse, so it was just the structure, like just the poles. And we decided to try climbing up the poles, and when I went to slide down, there was a screw sticking out, and it like sliced my leg open, and we were freaking out, and she didn't want to tell her parents because she didn't want to, like, we didn't want to get in trouble. So I remember I was sitting on her bed, and she just had this box of Band-Aids, and she just kept covering up my whole cut with a bunch of Band-Aids. Now that I think about it, I probably needed like a couple stitches, but it's okay. And question 12 says, are there any special things you've kept from when you were a child? I have a big box of all of my Bratz, and not all my Barbies, but a lot of them. I still have all that stuff, and I saved it, and I always said that if I ever had a daughter, I would pass it down to her, and which I still plan to do that, so I have all of that stuff in storage. And question 13 was, what was something weird you used to do as a child? I don't really remember doing anything weird. I remember having a really big imagination. I would always I always had this Scooby-Doo, this Dalmatian stuffed animal and this Scooby-Doo stuffed animal where you press his foot and he talked and stuff. I would always take that with me whenever we would go places, and I would buckle him in the car, like in the seat belts. I remember that. Question 14 was, what's the scariest thing you remember that happened to you when you were younger? When I was little, my cousins liked torturing me for some reason, and they told me that there was this thing called the skinwalker at night, and they would tell me not to look out the window because he walked up and down the street, and if he saw me, then he would come in the house and like take me. And they said that he was half man, half goat, and that really freaked me out. So at night, I would always be so terrified to look out the window, or if there wasn't like a curtain or something covering the window. So yeah, something that haunted me throughout my childhood. Number 15 says, how is the world now different from how it was like when you were a child? I'm guessing a lot of things are different. I'm 21 now, and I'm sure a lot of things are different that I don't even realize because I was little, and I wasn't really paying attention to like bad stuff, I guess. But a lot of things are different. I've noticed that kids these days are nothing like how me and kids that I grew up with were back then. Um, Kids these days try too hard to grow up too fast, and back then we were more focused on just being a kid, having fun. We weren't worried about grown up stuff. Like, we didn't even know about grown up stuff. And um, just kids these days try too hard to act older than what they are, and it's kind of heartbreaking because I mean you never get your childhood back, and once you're an adult you look back and you miss all that stuff. Even though you didn't, if you didn't try to grow up too fast, you were a child, you still miss your childhood, you miss everything. So like, I don't, they just don't understand that it's something that you need to cherish, not to, because if you don't have a childhood, you never get those years back. You never get to be a kid if you're trying too hard to be a grown up. Um, so yeah, that's really all I can think of that's different from then. But yeah, that was my throwback tag. So see you guys in the next video. Bye.